Look at this phone.
So pretty in person.
How beautiful this phone is.
It's just...
It's glass, but
it
it's
looks like drippiness.
It looks like it's wet all the time.
It looks like abalone.
And look at the dust. Like, just being in my pocket, it's like gathered a nice little coat around the camera here.
So the HTC U Ultra?
It's the HTC U Ultra. Let me log in and remove my notifications from the tray here. So this thing is massive. And just as a point of reference, not to be a pain, but this is the future of phones. 5.7 inches, both. The G6 in size versus the U Ultra. Now, granted, the U Ultra has a secondary display like the V20 that shows you, what you're doing next and your favorite contacts and a music player and the weather and some of your apps. I can add an app to this here by holding this plus down and, put Allo up
Allo,
there,
yay!
right? And then you can put a memo. In this case, I put my handle on there so I know it's my phone if I find it. But this phone has a bunch of issues. The first issue is that it's really expensive. It's $750, but it only gives you like pixel level specs. 821, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, and micro SD expansion in the SIM slot that's up there. It's a dual SIM and micro SD. I don't know if the US version is dual SIM, but you can clearly see that you can put a second SIM in there. I don't know if it'd work on the US model. But this thing, gorgeous for sure. Specs are kind of meh. And frankly, it performs as well as a G6, which is the same specs, but it just seems so big for what it is, right? And I think that's what a lot of people like. And it's thick too. It's like something like that camera bump is like 2 or 3 millimeters.
I feel like a big, beautiful phone would have been fine a year and a half ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now it's just not.
Another big flaws is no waterproofing. So this is not water resistant in any way. It has no headphone jack. And on top of that, like the Bolt previous to it, has a USB-C that does not support analog audio on the USB-C. So you can't use an adapter like the ones that are sold on eBay. You have to buy HTC's adapter because, it does come with bundle earphones that have like some kind of magic trick of measuring the inside of your ear, but it's such a gimmick. They don't sound great either, in my opinion. So I want to be able to use regular headphones, and you need to buy an $11 adapter from HTC. It's not in the box to be able to,
It's not in the box?
It's not in the box.
Come
on. My gosh.
And the worst is you're going to find that and go, I can just go on eBay and buy that other adapter. And that other adapter is just not going to work because that one works only on the ones that have analog
But I
out.
shouldn't have to buy the adapter. It
In
should
the
come in the
first
box,
place,
darn it, like on the Moto Z.
So it does have boom sound dual speakers. One is up here, one is down there. And it's not stereo. It's just one is bass, one is treble, like the M10.
Okay.
Or the 10, sorry, the HTC 10. And as you see, the fingerprints are all over.
Oh, yeah. Can I?
But yeah, I mean, look, the reality is this. What I'm trying to say is you can't go wrong per se spec-wise on this phone. It's about the same as a G6, but it's so much bigger, has no headphone jack, has no waterproofing. And then the secondary display is kind of a gimmick, like we know, like on the V20. The V20 brought so many other things to the table. The dual camera, the hi-fi DAC, the removable battery, the headphone jack, all that stuff. That this is like $750 seems really high for that.
Yeah, it really does.
And I love HTC, and I love what they're trying to do. They really did a very unique design and color scheme on this phone.
The color is
it's just incredible.
Beautiful.
But at the same time, and the camera, the front camera is 16 megapixel ultra pixel, and the rear camera is the same as the 10. So it's like a 12 megapixel large pixels OIS. It's good, but it's not like, wow. Like, it's not pixel level. It's last year's level.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, this phone is a lot of last year. And then if that wasn't the worst, on top of that, the battery is 3,000 milliamp hour and it has to drive this massive display. So the battery life is kind of middle of the pack. It's not bad, but it's not great.
Yeah.
So, I've only had it for a very short time, but at the same time, wow, you got a love note. At the same time, I've read a lot of reviews and I can't blame the reviewers for what they've written about this phone. I think a lot of them are spot on, and you guys reviewed it on Android Central. I think.
Yeah, I didn't have any time with it.
And I think he nailed it. It's pretty much what everybody's saying. It's like too much, too little, and a little too big.
I love looking at it in the monitors. Sorry,
beautiful.
It's crazy. It does feel big. I mean,
it's big, right?
I mean, even though, it's still bigger than the Pixel.
And so iFixit took it apart, or not iFixit, one of the YouTube channels took it apart. and they found that there's a lot of empty space in there. So that's the other thing. So there's a lot of stuff they could have put a bigger battery.
Yeah.
They could have put a headphone jack for sure. There's enough space.
Come
Somehow
on.
chose to like, you know, I don't know.
goodness.
It's like I don't want to be a pest. I love HTC. I want them to succeed. I want the 11 to really
I want
be,
an HTC to succeed.
There's some
This is
very
a musical
interesting
thing.
aspects to this phone, but there's also some very confounding aspects to this phone.
Well, the other thing is it was announced
And
at
so-
CES, and then it took 3 months to come out, and it came out in the middle of the storm of the century, which is brought on by the G6 and the Galaxy S8.
Yeah.
Once you see those two other phones, there's no way you're going to spend
HTC?
$750 on that, right? I mean, it's like
but
honestly,
the finish is
I
not, well,
know-
except for this fingerprint
I know
aspect,
HTC
but-
PR doesn't want to hear this because nobody wants to admit this is made by HTC, but
Right.
the Pixel, get a Pixel at that price point. Get a Pixel XL. At least you got the latest updates. You get a headphone jack.
Yep.
You get a phone that you know is like a rubber stamp by every tech journalist and every Android guru in the world, right?
Yep.
Done. So that's it.
Absolutely.
I'm done ranting.
Right on. 1, 2, 3, and done.
Those are all valid points. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
hard. No, I'm
Thank you. The LG G6, the Moto G5 Plus, and the HTC U Ultra. That was fantastic. Thanks for bringing those in.
Yep.
Talking
All
about
pretty
those.
phones. I just have to
know,
say,
right?
we are
That's
on
a
a
pretty good
good. We're on a good journey towards just having phones, even if they're just kind of bleh on the inside. At least they're pretty on the outside.
Totally. They've come a long
And you know,
way.
actually, you bring up something interesting, Flo, is that I don't think that the hardware matters that much anymore. When
Not to the peeps,
When
no.
I'm using this G5 Plus with a 625 and 4 gigs of RAM,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing I'm sacrificing versus the 821 at 4 gigs of RAM is video game performance. If I'm playing like the latest. And then you can see that, you know, and the benchmark reflect that. But in terms of everyday use,
Yeah.
the way the phone feels in the App Store, there's zero difference.
Yeah.
And you know, if you do a bit of research, the 625 has the same, is built on the same core as the 810. So the 810 last year was on Nexus 6 Plus core, right? So think about that.
It's
for
the
a second.
improved 810 without all the.
Basically, with all the cruft from before.
Yeah, that's a good word, craft.
Cruft.
I love that. That's good.
I outdid myself.